podcast this week.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good day. Anyway, let's chat about what we did the last week and weekend. And Dale, you want to lead off?
You're the busy guy.
Daughter was at Fox Valley Conference for Palms at Cary Grove. They play 6th. We'll be in Bloomington on Friday. Make another run at it.
Way to go. We beat CG. That's awesome.
Fun. Started the high school musical build.
You've been building sets.
All shook up.
Yeah, all shook up. It's going.
Swinging some hammers.
Yeah, we could probably use some help.
Look at the camera and say that.
Volunteers are always welcome.
Yeah, we don't need help.
Building the sets.
Yeah.
I had a wonderful dinner with some wonderful people. With my wife, and then I worked a lot in all the snow. Went nuts showing all the snow driveways we could. And then just had a great time with the kids. Tearing up the backyard and sledding.
Fantastic. Went down to Hamilton, down to Chicago over the weekends, and I'm a member of that group, right?
Yeah.
Checked out Hamilton.
One of the last, probably.
I probably am. One of the last. Okay. That's okay, though. It was fantastic. It was very enjoyable. Learned a lot of interesting things there that I thought I knew about Hamilton, some new things. And then the rest of the weekend really spent some time helping out around the, I don't know.
I'll edit that part out.
Sorry, edit that the rest of the weekend just kind of hung around the house.
The snow wasn't too deep for you? You could still see over? It wasn't that deep, right?
Did a little shoveling. Yeah, that's good.
Good.
But yeah, that was some great stuff. I'm very excited, though. We have the upcoming Cary Grove Chamber of Commerce dinner.
This Friday
at
The
Avante.
day this video comes out.
The day this video comes out.
It's never too late to sign up. The beautiful
Correct.
dinner at Avante now.
It's going to be a 1920s theme.
Great venue.
Should be a lot of fun. So looking forward to getting to visit with our local business owners and members of the Chamber of Commerce and enjoy an evening, a fun-filled evening like that.
It's a big dinner.
Excellent.
Hundreds of people.
Yeah, that's a lot of people.
So let's chat about this week a little bit about transparency and social media, and what are your guys' thoughts with regards to transparency from a governmental standpoint? What do you think the village should be doing?
Well, I think we know how we've gone into this a little bit, how we all feel. I think we're kind of piggybacking off of, specifically speaking, the Facebook page that we talked about. I know all three of us have different views, so let's not get too heated. But
we'll be respectful.
Let's be respectful, which we always are. So in my view, and what we've seen with the village board, just the last meeting that you were attending, was the vote was pushed to figure out what the best option was. To have no social media page, because currently we have a Cary website that is kind of blog formatted. It's very nice. To have a static Facebook page that was put on the table, one in which the page exists, but the community does not engage like you would on a Cary Grove chat or anything like that. Mm-hmm. And the third option is just your normal run-of-the-mill Facebook page.
And let it fly.
The municipality, Cary in this case, will put out, Mary Cary Parade or watch, this is going on, and people can comment, not comment, share, go from there.
Right.
I'm probably more in favor of the latter. I think that having a page in which, I understand my expectations aren't very high. From what I understand, the Village of Cary doesn't have a social media intern or employee, so I'd imagine it would have to fall on the burden of the department heads, which are some of our busier employees.
Right.
But if they have the time, whenever something comes up, to, in conjunction with all the other means we have, the newscast, the textcaster, and all that, to put out there, I don't see a problem with people commenting. I know there's lots of points of view, so I'm interested in hearing what you guys think.
Yeah, I think we really need something, because people that are using the Facebook are looking for answers quicker than wherever the textcaster, let's say. Some of the complaints are, I don't get the text fast enough, or it was past the time, I didn't receive it. A lot of people still use Facebook, social media, and it's a now. People like it now.
You know something about Facebook.
Yeah, a little bit. Maybe a little bit too much with some of it, but...
Well, it's one of those things that I'm excited about, because even before I was elected, I really strive for that. Before I was sworn in, I said I'd love to see us have a social media Facebook presence. And part of it is because, there are people with some Facebook pages out there that I don't necessarily think that all the information that goes out there is accurate, and therefore people may assume that that's a village page, and there can be some confusion.
Right.
So I think it's important to get out information.
Use the correct info going out.
Right. And I think from a transparency standpoint, our current board, when I was elected, we were very fortunate that we did start the filming and posting on YouTube.
Yeah.
However, we also have to be cognizant of the fact that the board before us foresaw that there was a need for it. So they made sure all the wiring was done. So it's great that we're starting to do it when I got elected, but it was already in the plans to be done. And I think that was really important from a transparency standpoint. Yes, we have the text cast where people can get that.
Right.
But I still think a lot of people don't know about it. It's
They
very
don't,
easy
and
to
then-
sign up for. Just get out there on the website and
it's linked on a few pages. And
yep,
people
you just
get
sign
to.
up and you can get it. You can
Absolutely.
pick what information you want. And then we also have our weekly newsletter. So that's another opportunity for information to be going out. And then Facebook to me is just that it's a natural progression to have some additional
Facebook's
information
just a little
like
bit
that.
quicker, though.
Correct,
Right? The newsletter's
correct.
weekly.
Correct.
Facebook is daily.
Right.
If you got department heads publishing to it.
Is that
Correct.
what you do though? I mean, is that let's if we brainstorm here, whose responsibility is it? If we say the Village of Cary has a Facebook page, okay,
Yeah.
they're going to put out information, whether it be current, as urgent as they can post on there, or it's informational about
Something
garbage
coming.
collection
Garbage
is
changed
pushed
the
because
day.
of a storm.
Right. Absolutely.
I guess it's important. What are our expectations? Is this a position in which we don't intend to spend any more money on? I would assume yes, and that would be my
Right.
prerogative.
No,
I'm
yeah,
not interested
right.
in coming up with a
And
solution.
then to be
that's-
department heads doing it.
Right. I think we have to be fiscally responsible, and I
Right.
think you're absolutely right.
Right.
And that would fall on our village administrator, Jake, to decide who's going to be monitoring
Right.
this type of information. And I would think that he would say the exact same thing, that is going to have to be who it is. We're not in a position.
And it's almost the same thing as the newsletter, but
Right.
you're getting it daily, let's say, or maybe not always daily, but updated more frequently than
Updated
something
when
published
need
once
be.
a week.
And,
right?
and like you said, if there's an emergency situation, it can get out there right
Well,
away.
your textcaster should be able to be linked to your
Right.
How
Facebook
do you,
page, right?
how do you foresee that though? There's an emergency situation at 2 a.m. How is that making Facebook at any time close to 2 a.m.? And I'm just trying to troubleshoot because
I would agree that I'm not saying that everyone's going to be on it at that exact time.
Right.
But my point is that if something occurs and you need to get the information out quickly, and it's during the normal course of a business
Of a
day,
business day operations.
then that's
of
going to
the-
get out.
see that.
But if it's a winter storm, let's just take this weekend for example. We had
Right.
winter storm warnings.
I got a
I was
text
driving home
message.
from Chicago. It was not a pretty drive. Just the weather, the plows, everything being on state roads, and even on
Yeah.
Route 14, which is not, going all through Palatine and Fox River Grove and Cary. It's not; those are not maintained by your villages because they're state roads. But it's nice to get something like that out there. There was a time to get that out on a Facebook post to say, hey, keep in mind there was a
Right.
weather alert.
Those are great things.
You
that
also
would
got
fit
to
into it.
consider we're not a news station and a
Correct.
TV station.
Right.
Yeah,
I would-
it seems to have gone that way with Facebook, and people want answers immediately, or
Right.
my information published, and I need to see it now.
Right.
I think what
It's
makes
just a different world,
Yeah,
kind
it
of
is.
with it right now, right?
I think the expectations are important if we can talk about it as a board and say, if we're doing a Facebook page because I love that idea because it's a
good
medium
tool.
of information which there's
Right.
more than anyone, more than the textcasters, right?
Absolutely.
People love our local chats and to put it on there though, I hope we can expect that some of those emergencies do or do not. If I comment on the Facebook page, hey Cary, why is this going on with my water? I just don't know if we really have the resources though
To answer from
for
there.
Cary to be like, hey Joe, your
Right.
water will be out
Right.
in 2 hours. I don't.
Right.
I hope people don't expect that because I can't see, from a fiscal standpoint, how we could facilitate
Right,
that though.
but keep something also in mind, and that is when they have a public works issue like their water or something's going on. We have a ticket system where they can go online and put in a
Follow
request and find out what's going
On the
on.
website.
Correct. So there's also some other tools for that. To me, it should be used for disseminating information, not necessarily if you have a problem. If you have a problem, your first recourse should be pick up the phone
Call him.
or put in a
Right.
service ticket or something like that.
It's just
and
another
make sure where
tool
it's-
to make people realize there are service tickets
That's
that you
true.
can get to it.
Right.
And some
You tie
people
it all
don't know,
into
right?
Facebook.
Some
And
people
you
don't know.
can do that. You can let
Right.
them know that.
And then
It's just another tool.
rate, give us 5 stars if they think Cary's doing a great job, something
Right.
like that.
Absolutely. As that would be wonderful. So for again, that just kind of wraps up transparency, just another avenue of saying, as
Facebook,
officials, what we want to have, we want to make sure that we're transparent.
Yeah, I would love to see
People
a page.
can watch that videos
Instagram.
anytime they want.
Jake in his office
Let's
eating
take it.
salad.
Let's take it slow. Let's not be too crazy here. No, no, absolutely. This wave of the future. We have to be technologically
Right.
savvy and on top of these type
Yeah.
of things to make sure that we can get information.
You could probably live stream the meetings on there and everything on Facebook. So
Right.
there's tools
That's true.
stuff
We
to
do
do there.
Facebook Live
Yeah.
if we wanted to, if we needed to.
I mean,
Then
the
there's
meetings,
wants and needs.
the cameras are
Wants
there.
and
People
needs,
use
guys.
it.
I don't think it's a bad thing to implement and see what we need to tweak after the fact. Have a
Right.
learning curve. There's no rubber stamp to how a
Right.
village puts its Facebook page out there. Lots of them have those,
Right.
and we kind of try to make it work what's best for us while allowing.
There's models out there to make it work.
Right.
Absolutely.
And then always be ready to adapt.
Right.
Right? Be ready to adapt to say, hey, this is working or this one isn't,
Right.
and tweak it as necessary and how we improve it.
It's probably something you just don't want to dump a lot of resource money into.
Correct.
Right.
Because again, it's needs versus wants, and
Right.
we all want it. But we need to make sure that we remain fiscally responsible and delivering
There's
that.
been a lot of discussion about this. I guess I feel now that I'm thinking about it, like how much we're talking about that just
Yeah.
for a Facebook page.
Right.
There's been a lot of opinions.
Yeah.
I'm for it.
And there
And I
still
can
will be.
respect all of them.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm definitely in support of it. Okay, so what about, we had, I think, a social media question, a follow-up.
We did.
About
I said about
our revenue source,
revenue
the
source.
village of Cary's additional revenue sources
Besides
outside of property taxes.
tax.
Right.
Right.
I think the person was very happy with the last podcast, which really explained property taxes and tried to, identify what it all is. But they had a little further question to say.
Right.
And boy, you get money from more than just property taxes.
into the general fund.
Into the general
A
fund.
number of places.
Right.
So do you want to share what some of them are, Dale? And
We talked about
some.
it.
Oh, yeah.
So
We did.
there's
Some of them there.
interesting
Some
facets
numbers
there.
there.
Yeah.
We're getting about 18.5% from sales tax.
Correct.
From
Of
all
the 100% into the general.
general fund.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. And then from the we're also getting from our what else we have? Our income tax. So we're getting roughly around 22% from the income tax.
Which is an interesting thing to understand is that when we pay our state income tax at the end of the year to Illinois,
Illinois is paid.
some of that money, and I'm not going to quantify it because it will change, but the state of Illinois will give that to the municipalities. Was it LGDF, Local Government Distributive Fund?
Distributive fund.
And that is not nearly all of those taxes that you're paying, but it is given back on a monthly basis.
Right.
And that is a line item back into our general fund. That's
Right.
22%.
22%.
Correct.
In that ballpark. There.
And then the biggest, of course, is going to be
It's still property tax.
property
That's
tax
almost a
around
third of
30.
it.
Right.
So that comprises over 70% of it. But
Right,
there's some
there's
other
other things.
that come into it.
Permits and fees, right? Throughout the village.
Like Westlake has the, what did it end up coming down to that was negotiated for the
The impact fees.
the impact fee? Because prior to that, back to the early 2000s, they were still under that guideline.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. So we just extended, so we modified it a little bit, but we'd still get some of that money in there,
Right.
which is, again, revenue
Per
directly
unit.
to the-
Generating
per unit.
Which was very normal at that time and even now, and then permit fees and such. But a lot of those permit fees too. I mean, I want to speak from my opinion here. There's a lot of expenses the village incurs from someone pulling
Absolutely.
a permit. When I go pull permits for something,
Right.
they're
It's not-
processing the
right.
paperwork they're going through.
It's not a giant revenue source.
I mean, I don't.
Right,
Anyone who
but
builds
it's
things
still
doesn't love the idea that they're going to be paying XYZ for this permit. But with all things considered,
It's a lot of work
that money
that
is
goes
going to.
behind that.
There's this village
And there's
employee
reasons.
Yeah.
who's overseeing the safety of this electrical system, and they're coming out and doing a pre-inspection, post-inspection,
Correct.
Right.
and
Correct.
verifying that
And that's the safety for everybody.
safety of
in
that
the
business or
community.
that
Right.
home.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the newer revenue sources that we've been receiving in the last couple of years is for some of the gambling.
Video
The
gaming
video
just
gaming.
came in, yeah.
So I want to say this year we received in 2018, I guess, or 2019, but we received around $80,000. So that's not something that we should overlook, at that point. That becomes a recurring revenue stream at this point. Whether or not it's going to get larger, I don't know. How large do we want it to get? There's a lot of talk about, what do you want? Should we bring it into different venues? We've been very selective of what we've allowed up till now.
I think we
but it might
should
be
stay
time
that
to
way.
revisit. Well, I think we always have to.
I understand there's a lot of community members that feel one side and the other. There's a lot of voices to be heard because
Sure.
it is making a big impact in a lot of municipalities
Right.
Sure,
across.
absolutely.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And things may even change more coming up
Absolutely.
for Illinois, yeah.
Okay.
Well, exactly. We don't know with the LDGF, a couple of years ago they cut it by 10% what we were supposed to receive.
Right.
And then last year they only went to a 5% reduction. That's a lot of money to villages.
Right.
When you're looking at what you're
counting on that
You're
to
counting that
pay,
money.
to pay for all the services that the village
well,
provides.
and you have to figure your money goes for mostly for personnel,
Right.
and police pensions. And some of those things you can't control, but when you have a union employees, for
obligated to
example,
those
you have
funds.
obligations. Those are going to go up.
Yeah.
It's already set what their steps are,
Percentages are,
and you
yeah.
have to be prepared that that's going to increase. It's not going to change.
Right. So when you're cutting the revenue that was otherwise
Right.
you thought was guaranteed
Right.
from the state,
Right.
it puts you in a bind.
So
And then
you
you're
gotta
having
find other
conversations
sources.
like this.
Right.
Otherwise, your quality of services are going to diminish greatly.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
it's tough.
It's tough to say, hey, you know, you want this? Okay, what service do you want us not to give you anymore?
Right.
We don't.
No one's going to say
Nobody
plowing
wants
today.
that. Yeah, no.
Exactly.
not that.
We don't want to give up on stuff like that. It's very
No.
important.
Exactly.
Which, by the way, a shout out to our public works. They did
Oh, yeah.
a
Great
fantastic
job.
job cleaning up over the weekend.
Quite a bit of snow.
There was quite a bit of snow.
Was. All the information that we were talking about tonight is available on Cary's website for the operating and capital budget, and that's where we were getting all these numbers from there, and they're for everybody in our community.
Correct.
Speaking
To
of
look at,
transparency,
right.
what I
Correct.
can only be in more and more support of that. I think it's great. I
Right.
think, and I hope to see more and more community members. You know, when they have questions, we have great
Right, the source
administration,
there.
We have fantastic staff.
great elected officials who I know firsthand will talk to you.
Yep.
And as much as I like you, there's several of you guys that will talk to you about these things. So the more questions people have, it's great because
Right.
it's
You get the
learning
answers.
more. Because
Learn, right.
when it comes to taxes and things
Knowledge
like that.
is power.
Yeah, and there's a lot of things that people are learning that go into the municipality.
Absolutely.
So
Okay,
go to Village of Cary's website for this.
Get a lot of information from there.
Years of it and minutes and meetings, everything great.
Everything there.
If you like this video, don't miss any others. Click on the subscribe button and bell below and be notified of any of our future videos.